Hello, good morning, good Monday morning, my favorite day of the week because it's 5 a.m. Monday, and I am really excited about this particular episode because it is a game changer, folks. I'm telling you, if you get this one right, you're on your way to riches. All right, so the last couple Mondays, we've been talking about mindset. So my first video was talking about dreaming big, figuring out what your freedom day looks like, and dreaming big, really digging deep to why you want this dream and why it's important for you to get there. And then the next video was all about taking stock of where you're at now, taking a hold of your finances if you haven't already, setting up a budget, making sure that more money's coming in than going out, and figuring out what your gap is between that dream that you have in the future and where you are right now. We need to come up with a number. What's that gap? Okay, because that's going to be your financial goal, and that's what your investments are going to achieve. Yes, they're going to achieve it. All right, now today it's about believing it. Okay, so the number one thing that stops people from getting rich or having any kind of wealth in their life is their mindset. Okay, it is their deep-seated beliefs about money. And this comes by honestly. Everyone has them. I do. I'm going to be discussing them today. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of myths that we actually believe since we've been taught these ones since we were children. Perhaps we know people that have talked these money myths. Even in social media, they're constantly there. So it's really important to be able to filter out and to reset our way of thinking, our belief system about money. So some of the common money myths that I'm sure all of you know, just gonna go through them here. Apologize if I'm reading because I've thrown these ones out, okay? So I have to read them. So the first one is, of course, money doesn't grow on trees. And that's one of them. The next one is money is the root of all evil. You have to work hard for your money. Who hasn't heard that one before? Time equals money. We've heard that one. Waste not, want not. Easy come, easy go. It takes money to make money. And money won't make you happy. Who hasn't heard that one before? And money can't buy you love. Wow, geez. These are just a few of the money myths that are out there, and there's plenty more. Most of these have us entrenched in some kind of belief that's messing us up with money. Okay, and I know it did for me for many, many years, and I still struggle with this. I'll be honest. There's some money myths that I have to keep in check every single day. Okay, I know they're not true, but because I've been told this or have felt this since I was a little kid, I still have to work on this every single day. And it's really important to keep these things, these beliefs in check. Okay, so let me tell you a story. Now this is about my life, which is really personal to me. Because I grew up poor. As I mentioned in one of my other videos, I was raised by a mother who was a single parent, who lived on welfare, and we lived in government housing, which was, I can politely say, was horrible, really, because it was infested with cockroaches, and that wasn't even the worst of it. The neighborhood I was in was really, really dangerous. I couldn't go outside to play because if I did, I'd be out there playing with the bullies and the drug dealers, and that wasn't safe. And I didn't feel safe, actually, for my entire childhood because of that. And so I was a latchkey kid that ended up sitting in front of the TV, like many generation people out there will probably relate to this. Many of us had baby boomers as parents, and they were out working really hard while we were sitting in front of the TV, basically raising ourselves, right? Like this is a whole generation of people with angry music. Okay, look at the 90s. All right, Nirvana, we had angry music, and there's a reason for that, right? So some of the things that really impacted me. Now, this is an exercise I want you to do for yourself, okay? If you do nothing else, if you don't even do your Freedom Day, you need to do this one exercise, and this will make a difference for you and your family, actually, for the rest of your life, okay? So sit down and think about, so we've already gone into the future, we've taken stock in the present, now we need to go to the past. We need to dig deep into what happened to us as children. And for some of us, this is not an easy journey, okay? So think back to your very first memory about money, okay, and what that meant, what kind of messaging you were given by the people around you. So for many of you, that will be your parents, perhaps set some kind of money message into your head early on. Okay, so for me and my family, I had kind of an interesting upbringing, which looking back is really quite fascinating because I've been able to see the journey of 5 different sets of people who started in the exact same financial situation, which is zero. Okay, so my mom was one of 5 kids who came to Canada, brand new immigrant from Poland, came in on a boat, and so all 5 of her siblings and her parents, my grandma and my grandfather, which are no longer around, sadly, but they all came to Canada with barely anything more than the shirt on their back. Okay, so they all started with 0. All right. Now, I was born shortly after they came to Canada, so I don't really remember all of them being at 0. I know they all started there, though. And so it's interesting to me to go back and just think about how all of their decisions actually landed them in a way different wealth state in their lives. Okay, and I was, kind of unintentionally really observing this when I was a child. I didn't consciously do it, maybe, but I clearly made some decisions in my life based on what I was observing as a child. Okay, and so when I was a kid, some of my earliest memories about money were actually, like most kids, around Christmas time, right? So Christmas in our family was a big to-do. We would all get together, and like most families, we would, have presents, right? And there was, me and my cousins, all of us would gather around the tree, and quite often we'd have somebody dress up as Santa and bring us all our gifts. All right, it was a really fun thing. However, it was also a really damaging thing that happened to me, and because it was my earliest memory of a deep-seated belief that money equals love. Okay? And so when I was growing up, some of my cousins, some of my aunts and uncles were doing way better than my own mother. Okay, so, and that was great reasons for that. They were they were married, they were having either good jobs or they were entrepreneurs, they were investing in real estate, they were doing some fantastic wealth moves to get them where they were. Okay, and this was really good observations for me, because I could see, geez, if you do something like invest in real estate, you can actually make yourself pretty rich. So as somebody who didn't have any money, I was always sort of in pursuit of getting it, right? So at Christmas time, some of my wealthier cousins would get a ton of presents, and myself, as one of the poor people, would get just a little bit. Okay, I would never walk out empty-handed. That's not the case. But that's when I realized the wealthiest people in my family were getting the most presents, and the poorest people in my family, myself, was getting the least amount of money, or least amount of gifts. Okay, and not only that, every time a gift was given to them, they would be showered with affection. Okay, and so very early on, and this would be perpetuated year by year, not only Christmas, but birthdays. In my family, it was a tradition to give money. And my mother would keep track of who gave, how much money, because she would have to be expected to give that kind of money back to their kids. So her being poor was kind of an issue in this sense, because she couldn't afford to give as much money as some of the other people. And then, it's kind of a little bit of a tension when she wouldn't, it's not that she didn't, she couldn't give enough money back. Okay, so there was a bit of a tension, I will say, between my aunts and uncles with respect to how much money we give the kids. Okay, and I, as a child, I picked up on this. Okay, I had no idea what it was about. All I knew was it had something to do with who was more special. Okay, because I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Who was more special? The most special person got more money. And it just so happened that the person who got more money happened to live in a bigger house, have lots of toys, and they're showered with affection. And even from my own mother. I mean, my mother worshiped these people. They don't even know it probably, because they fought so much. But behind closed doors, I heard it all the time. Well, look how much money they have. They've got this fancy car. They've got this fancy house. And these are the messages I heard all the time. Okay, so what do you think this did to my psyche? Well, it was really difficult. So for me, I thought, geez, like if I'm going to get love, I need to make more money. So early on, I decided, I thought, getting a really good job would make me more money. And if I made more money, then maybe I'd be loved, right? So I worked my ass off to put myself through university. And it wasn't just for the money. I actually did love what I was doing. I was very much an environmentalist, and I really wanted to make a difference in cleaning up the planet. There's so much destruction of the world out there when it comes to the environment, and it just it ripped my heart open. I really wanted to do something to make a difference in this area. And so I went to school, became an environmental scientist, despite the fact I'm actually really, really horrible at science. Like I almost failed. I think the teacher just like squeaked me by because he felt sorry for me in grade 9 science. Okay, so for someone who like was pretty much failing science throughout high school, to go to university to become a scientist is something crazy, right? So I worked my ass off though. I got tutoring and everything. It was such a struggle for me. I'm not a natural scientist, I'll admit that. But it was super interesting to me. And I thought, geez, if I became a scientist, I could make a difference in the world. So that's what I did. I accomplished my goal. I went to school, got my university degree, came out, got a job. It turned out to not pay that great, but it was the best job I've ever had. I had more money than I ever did, and things were looking good. And I was taking my cues from some of my richer relatives who had invested in real estate, and I started doing that like right away. As soon as I could, I went out and bought a house, and that's where I started my real estate investing career. And thank God I did, I tell you, because it really is the key to success, I tell you. So for years. Now, finally, I made it. I made some money. So I'm waiting. Where's the love? It never came. Okay. The love never came. In fact, if anything, things felt worse to me. So I made some really stupid decisions after that, which again were based on this limiting belief that money equals love. Um, and I developed relationships with people that really took advantage of me, like because money equals love, right? So they thought, geez, this is great. Monica thinks that money equals love, so let's take all this money from her because that's how she shows love and affection, right? So that's what I thought. Money equals love, so you show people you love them with money, right? With giving gifts and stuff like that. And to be honest, I've never been good at giving gifts, especially to people that have everything. I'm really sorry. I'm a self-proclaimed terrible gift giver. And I think this has a lot to do with the Christmases, my childhood Christmases, because I'm sorry, that gift giving thing is totally messed up in my mind. So I apologize. But it took me a long time to realize that this is what was controlling all my decisions in my life. Oh my God, I was doing all these things to please other people, except myself, okay? And I was I was thinking, geez, if I just make more money, I'll finally be loved by my family. And obviously that's not true, okay? And the day I realized this was actually, Harbecker, you saved my life, I tell you, because I went to the Millionaire Mind workshop, which is a free workshop, and he dug deep into these beliefs. And I tell you, you need to do this, okay? Because I can guarantee you that you are making really stupid decisions in your life based on some limiting belief on money, okay? Now you need to sit down and look into your childhood, do a money history. Where did you come from? Were you a kid who came from nothing like me, or were you a kid that had everything? And what happened along your journey? Did you go to school? Did your parents pay for school, or did you have to take student loans like I did? Did you work a job? Did you learn how to manage your money early, or were you maybe never taught about how to manage money? I know schools don't teach this stuff, right? So this is purely based on what you learned from your parents for the most part, okay? Or from the people around you. And hopefully you've had some really good mentors around you. I did not, so I looked elsewhere. So that's where I started looking at gurus, gurus such as Oprah Winfrey and all her guests. I started looking at Dr. Phil, T. Harv Eker, Phil Town. I have a whole list of gurus that I started following from, way back, but now I'm just adding to that list. There's a whole bunch of people that I'm learning from. Warren Buffett has been one of the most recent gurus that has really changed my mindset about money, and I'm really going to dig deep on him soon. But you need to go through that money journey. You need to actually maybe set an estimated time worth, money worth for you, and see, when did you have lots of money coming in? You had more money coming in than going out. When were you at a crash per se, where you had more money going out than coming in. Like myself, I was at the point of bankruptcy a couple of times. Thankfully, I was able to get myself out of that mess. But what's that journey look like for you? And are you seeing any patterns? Are you seeing anything that maybe you keep making that, but maybe you keep racking up those credit card bills, and every time you pay them off, you go out and buy some more, and you just can't figure out what that is. You need to dig deep into that story, that limiting belief in your head, and you need to twist that around. Okay, so you need to realize that all these myths are not true, first of all. Second of all, you need to reset your brain into thinking the opposite is true. And yes, you can do that. Okay, so all you have to do is catch yourself every time you think these limiting beliefs. You need to catch yourself and stop and say, no, that's not true. What is true is, so for me, money does not equal love. Okay, and love and money, they're both not limited. They're actually abundant in this universe to an exponential degree. There's no limit on them. And all of it resides inside me and inside all the people around me. And there's no limit to that. Okay? So anytime I catch myself thinking, money equals love, or any of the other myths that, yes, they've impacted me too, I always stop myself in my tracks and say, no, that's not true. In fact, the opposite is true. And then I start telling myself the things that prove that the opposite is true. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things. I know that love does not equal money. Okay, I know that people who treat me right love me, and that has nothing to do with money. Okay, and I know that for a fact because I've got some really great, wonderful people in this world, and trust me, money is not in the equation at all. Okay, and I realize also that love comes from people who don't care about that stuff. Okay, so if you've got somebody who's in your life that's only about what your material things are, and not about what's inside, then there might be time to cut the purse strings there. Hey, like they're holding you back, and you might need to unfortunately cut some people out of your life because you become like the people around you. So you need to start taking stock of your relationships and start working on hanging out with people that you want to be like. Okay, and if anybody's out there sabotaging you in any way, you need to either mend those relationships and have a really good heart-to-heart talk. And if that doesn't work, then unfortunately you're going to have to move on. Okay, so this one's a really tough one, guys. I want you to really dig deep here. Okay, and this is something you need to work on every day, I tell you, especially if you've got some deep-seated beliefs that are messing you up like they were messing me up. All right, so you go out there and you take stock of what beliefs you have about money, and what are those scarcity beliefs that are holding you back, and reset that brain. Okay, we can reset our clock, we can reset our thinking into thinking the opposite, and the magical things happen when you do that. Okay, so when you start thinking that the world is abundant and that there's no limit to money and love or wealth, and that all the things that you think are good are out there in abundance, sky's the limit, guys. You can do anything at all. So happy Monday, guys, and you go out there and have a great week and dig deep.